someone was asking in the group. Now, this is a feature request that someone had. Now, as always, whenever there's features being suggested, it comes with like it sounds really great for one user, and then it could be for 10 other users not good. But I wanted to get your idea for this one, where the idea would be to have TradersPost monitor the status with different brokers, and if for some reason it was down or some communication issue or what have you, that strategies tied to that broker would automatically pause if the user opt into that. And on the surface, it seems like a interesting idea, and I get the practicality of it, but the implementing it, I can imagine there's it's not consistent across all brokers, and you can't reliably determine if a problem would merit the strategy actually being deactivated. What do you think
Yeah.
about this?
So I think there's a couple different ways to look at this. On one hand, many of the brokers have status release pages that give you an indication of the health of their overall ecosystem. And those are helpful to some extent, but I would probably never rely on them in order to use a filter for my trading activity, because in many cases, the status pages represent multiple facets of their ecosystem that may not be relevant to order execution. Like maybe the dashboard is broken or something like that, and there's a red light on that, but everything else is working perfectly. So I probably wouldn't rely on the broker pages as any type of reasonable or reliable indicator to pause trading. On the other hand, TradersPost is in a unique position to listen to the responses of all of our brokers and start to measure outliers of responses that don't typically occur. So if at trading open, we suddenly see a whole bunch of 500 error responses from TradeStation or from any broker, we could see that as like above normal levels that we see errors from a broker, and decide that that's the point in which we trigger a pause of activity. And that could be something that you opt into. I think it's a pretty decent feature request, and it could be based on a real mathematical approach and an event driven approach, where one, we're monitoring what is typical for the broker, how often do we see errors from them, so like we set a baseline from that. And then two, if it's above that baseline by some standard deviation, two standard deviations or something like that, we could then say, okay, that's the moment in which we're going to go ahead and pause, because this is way outside of normal that we would see errors from a broker. And it would also have to be there would have to be multiple participants, so that not any one user could trip this off. One user might be causing a bunch of errors independently, but everybody else's accounts are running fine. So
Right.
we would need to see this work across multiple users, and it be above normal, above an average typical error rate. And then maybe that would be something that's more reliable.
Interesting. Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. All right. So thank you very much for that suggestion. We always love to hear, I mean, literally, Mike and John listen to everything that people have to say in order to make the product better.
For sure. That's a good suggestion.